The mailman's come by, so I guess it's time for another mailbag. Starting with this yellow one, which is described as building material. So let's just make sure I don't cut into anything, because I have no idea what this is. Sweet, some magnets. So these are 20 little neodymium magnets. They're 8 mil by 3 mil, so whoop, see how strong they are, huh? So they are 8 mil in width, 3 mil in height. And I got these because there are a lot of projects where you can play with magnets and their interaction between a magnetic field and a current passing in a conductor. So I find it really interesting, so I decided to order some. I have some bigger ones, some far bigger ones that are more powerful, but none of this size. And this size I think is perfect for messing around with. Maybe we'll make some brushless motors or something, or maybe a generator. We'll see. It'll be something small. So $3.50 for 20 pieces, and that is from AliExpress. And I think everything today will be from AliExpress. So unless I specify it, it'll be from AliExpress. This one's pretty simple, so we can move on. Next one up is this one. Pretty large package, and it says Home and Garden. Some irregular shapes on the inside there. Oh, okay. Just little clamps. Let's take a closer look. So these are these tiny little clamps. They are only a couple centimeters long. Let's see. So about 66. Oh, there. So you can see 66 centimeters long. In inches, that's roughly 2.5 inches, just over. So they're tiny, but the cool part is that these things are strong. There is a lot of force there. They have a really heavy spring. And this is good for clamping things together, holding things together. I think I originally ordered them for my wife's green screen for her Twitch channel. But either way, these are really useful to have around. And 10 of them were about $2.60 Canadian. So these are really good to have around. Next up is this yellowy envelope, and oh, here. There we go, customs declaration. Sensor is what it says. Let's take a look. Always ordering stuff that's sort of Arduino-y and sensory. What is this? AT-Tiny 8. That's interesting. I think this is finally the DigiSparks. And that's exactly what it is. So let's open one of these up so I can show you what they are. So what these things are is they are cheap Arduino type clones of what's called the DigiSpark, which was a Kickstarter a while ago. And these are just tiny little boards with an AT-Tiny 8, I believe, which is a Atmel chip with the bootloader inside and USB capability. And it's got a voltage regulator and all sorts of things on there. Basically, this is a Arduino with a micro SD controller and 6 pins that you can use as input-output. And these things are absolutely tiny. Just the board here. So that is 23.1 mils by, let's see here, 18 mils, and 6 pins. And basically this is just like any Arduino. You just install a separate library on your IDE, and you can run this like a regular Arduino with 6 pins. I think there's some limitations. I think there's only 2 PWM pins. Not 100% sure on that, but you can actually put like 20 volts of this thing, if I'm not mistaken, on the voltage in pin, because it uses so little voltage that, or so little current, that this little 4-pin device here, the 3-pin device I should say, the voltage regulator doesn't actually overheat unless you're really driving it hard. So this is great for having things embedded into places, or having this set up as like behind a decoration to control some sort of LEDs. I think I'm going to use these for I2C projects just to be able to keep it compact and small. Now here's the best part about these things. Is not only are they straight USB programmable, but I bought 10 of these for $17 Canadian. So they're $1.70 each. So at that price, even if you fry some, it's not that big of a deal. So if you're just kind of like a beginner for Arduino, and you want to kind of permanentize your projects, especially if your projects have very few pins that they use, definitely buy some of these, because you can afford to make your projects permanent with this. Costs you $1.70. That's $1.70 for this entire board, is less than, I believe, the price for the AT Tiny 8 from DigiKey just by itself. So I think this is a great idea. I do use DigiSparks for other things, but I have the previous version of the DigiSpark, which was the slightly bigger one, and this is it here. So this one is good too. The only thing about this DigiSpark, oh, and they do come with the pins here. The only thing with this DigiSpark is that you have to connect into a USB. So if you want to have this on your benchtop or on your breadboard or whatever with the pins here for prototyping, then that means you need to have a USB male to female cable, which is a lot harder to get than this, which is a USB male to micro USB cable. I think this connector is actually flattened a little bit. That's interesting. Let me see if I can actually get a connector in there, because if they're all damaged, I'll probably have to put in a claim, and then my advice for buying this probably isn't great. Let me go get one and we'll see what I can do. Okay, I've got my USB cable here. Let's see if I can plug that in. Yeah, no, not a chance. So this connector got smushed in transit. I'm gonna have to try and see if I can fix this one. Other than that, maybe I'll just power one up so we can see here. So here's another one. Okay, see that USB connector looks a lot more healthy. I'm gonna power this up. I think they come with a blink sketch pre-uploaded. So there's that little green LED. And is it going to blink? Oh, there's the red. Okay, that's the power LED. And there's the blink sketch running on them. So that's pretty good. $1.70. I'll have to take a look through all the other bags and see if there's a lot of them damaged, but it is what it is, right? They are dirt cheap. And if I have to remove this connector to put a new one on, well, then that's what I'll do. Pretty cool though. I do recommend buying some of these. Next up is this whitish package, and no description at all. They didn't even try. So here we go. Cut this open. Oh, all right. I know exactly what this is. This is actually a little bit bigger than I thought. Cool. So let's take a closer look at this. So what this is just a board really with a MOSFET on it, a power MOSFET, and a heatsink with bent fins. Freaking phenomenal. Oh well, it doesn't really matter. And this is for a 3D printer. So basically you put your power input here from your main power supply, and then you put these two connections out to a hotbed, and then you use these two wires to go onto your control board where the old output for the hotbed was. So the deal is that the transistors on, let's say, a RAMPS 1.4 board, they're not as capable of handling current, and nor are the connections on a RAMPS 1.4 board as this thing is. So some people have run into issues where their boards have melted or their transistors have failed or whatever, so that there's a problem, right? If it melts or if it starts failing, it could actually catch fire with the excess heat. So the deal with this is it's an external board. So you're taking this component off the main board, so you're driving the heat bed with a component off the main board, which could have its own separate fan and whatever for cooling. And you're also using a power MOSFET, which has far better heat dissipation and a far smaller resistance when it's on. So basically this is just to drive your board, your heated bed, separate. And I've actually ordered a few of these. This is the first one to come in. This has cost me $4, so it's pretty cheap. And I think I'm gonna make a separate video just testing this separately. In fact, I'd probably make a series of videos on all the components for the 3D printer separately before I start building a 3D printer. The plan is to get the 3D printer at least started in the next month or so, but you'll have to stay tuned to check that out. Next up is this package. This one is packed really tightly. It's really thick. So I'm not sure what's in here. I'm going to try not to cut whatever's inside. May have gone, yeah, it was a little too conservative with that. I really don't know what's inside, but it's very tight, so I don't want to cut anything. Yeah, see, I already cut through the anti-static bag. Oh. Well, that exploded. Interesting. So, yeah, let's have a closer look. So this is not deja vu. This is yet another one of these MOSFET boards. Pull this out, see if it's the same MOSFET. So the last one was over here. The last one was HLDEAQ44, HA21N06, HA21N06, but the writing looks slightly different between the two, so it could be a different batch. So this is the old one, or the original one, I should say. Yeah, this is identical in every way. So this was another one that I bought at $4. Heatsink's not bent on this one, so that's always nice. So this you've seen before, and now this is a whole bunch of 9-volt to 2.5mm barrel jack adapters. So I got a whole bunch of these because I figured I'm always looking for the ones that I have. You've seen them in many videos. I power my breadboards with them. And if I just bring one of the breadboards over, so this one, this should plug in. Yep, it does plug in. And this was $1.82 for 10 of them. Seem okay quality. I mean, it's just cheap vinyl wires. It's not silicone or anything, but yeah, what do you expect for cheap? They were about 19 cents a piece, something like that. Okay, so I think this mailbag was a bit short, so maybe I'll pull a few more out. Well, we'll go with just one more. So this here says oil pump on it. I'm just going to cut across here. Interesting. Let's have a closer look at this. So those of you who have been on a small outboard boat will know that this is a fuel priming bulb. So it's basically like a one-way switch and a little pump. It's just relying on the stiffness of the rubber here to come back up, and it has the most hilarious noise. Don't know if you can hear that. I'll do it closer to the mic. Absolutely hilarious. Sounds like a duck. So this is something I bought. I have aquariums, and basically what happens is you to do a water change, you have to suck the water out. So use the siphon effect, but to get the siphon effect started, you have to dip the hose in the water and a whole bunch of stuff. But I figured this would be much easier. You just put the intake on this side into the tank, and then the outlet into your waste bucket or your sink or whatever, and just give it a couple pumps. And then once a couple pumps have been done, once the water comes over the edge of the aquarium, it'll flow by itself with the siphon effect. So I bought this from China. This was $4.30 Canadian, and yeah, we'll see if it works. I wanted the big barbs because I kind of want to use a garden hose to attach to it, but it looks like there's a lot of wasted space. Look how thick the walls of this metal are, or look how thick the walls of this metal is, I should say. But I can always drill that out, I guess. Should I pull this apart? Why not? There we go. Take that off, take that off. Can't see very much. Oh, there's the flapper valve. So that's interesting. It has a one-way valve on the outlet side and not on the inlet side. Oh, it has a flapper on that side too. Okay, so it actually has one-way valve on both ends. That's quite interesting. But yeah, nothing too much to see here either. And so this assortment of fairly random items, I guess, is today's post bag. And again, thanks for watching.